I appreciate it. Excellent.
And we should all mute ourselves to keep the background.
Yes.
Good thinking. All right, so anyway, we will introduce them shortly when we have a few more people here. And Father Ray, our pastor at St. Vincent de Paul Church, is ill today. So he will not be able to lead us in prayer, as we always like to begin in prayer, asking for God's guidance to know how we are called to do God's work. So if you can just bow your heads for a moment. God, we acknowledge our injustices to people of color. Help us not only identify it, but challenge it whenever we see it. Help us learn from our new friends how to work together to accomplish their vision. And we ask this in Jesus' name, amen. And before you meet the leadership team, we thought it may be a good idea to give you a feel for the South Baltimore Community Land Trust Organization. So we're going to share from their website a video and also their vision. And I think it introduces the community much better than we could. So I'm going to share my screen. So this is on their website. Melanie, would you like to read your vision or do you want me to?
You can.
That's okay. Okay. South Baltimore Community Land Trust believes that people directly impacted by environmental, economic, and racial injustice must be in the lead. I got to move this over, sorry. Must be in the lead to create development that regenerates our communities and our planet. Building on this belief, we take land out of the extractive speculative sector and put it into the hands of the community to advance a proactive vision for development without displacement and zero waste. Through our local work here in Baltimore, we aspire to a world that is democratic, where all people have the power to shape their communities, institutions, and their societies. Decolonized, where all people determine their collective destiny free from oppression. Diverse, where difference is celebrated as strength. Just, that redresses inequity in our societies and the legacy of our shared history. Liberated, where all identities enjoy equal rights, recognition, and power. Regenerative, that respects planetary boundaries and protects frontline communities while replenishing rather than extracting from our environment. Solidaristic, I don't know if I'm saying that right, where the struggle of each is the struggle of all. Peaceful, where violence is replaced by the diplomacy of peoples. And prosperous, that eradicates poverty and invests in the future of shared abundance. I think their vision statement is beautiful. So I'm going to just play this video.
So it was a lot before. There's a lot of grass, trash, mud. Not too much on it, honestly. It was just a place where people would probably just do that trash. It was just an idea at first. A group of kids at Benjamin Franklin who were in the crime and safety group thought maybe it could be a community park.
It's a really big deal to see that I went to school over there thinking about stuff like this. And then now it's a reality that we own a property right across from the school that's community owned.
And once we got our ownership of it, put it in our land trust, it's ours now, right?
Yeah.
So we're like, what do people want to see? People want to see something beautiful, right?
Yeah.
People did outreach, going around the community saying what everyone wanted to see. We cleared it out, and a lot of people suggested different things.
I'm over play chess, basketball, anything. All the kids and stuff can have a nice little area where they can play and not be harmed in the street and stuff.
Someone suggested we have a place to play chess. Like, I didn't know they like playing chess, but that's something they like doing. This is gonna enter our mini golf. Our mini golf tournament, which is gonna go all from right there to straight down there.
I can't wait till you guys finish my neighborhood golf course, where I got something to do on the weekends.
Our neighbor's Brian helped us build the stage. He's a contractor. He does like apprenticeships and stuff. All of this wood is donated from the port. All of it.
I feel honored that I was able to help and I was able to actually do something and that they accepted my ideas. I'm glad that it's not private property, it's community. And I feel like it's gonna bring a lot of people together.
Through all of this, we learned that there was a possibility to acquire more land. The South Baltimore Community Land Trust worked to acquire 8 properties surrounding this green space that we developed. We're working hard to prove that residents of Baltimore do know what's best for their community. And we are using this as a model to create safe, permanently affordable housing. From our very first crowdfunding campaign, we used those funds to purchase this home.
So this is our second home in the SBCLT that we have under control. Yeah, it's not great right now, but with all the teamwork and all the people that we met that were supporters of this, will help us fix it up and make it great for the family that we see.
So 70% of the residents in the community are renters. So the possibility of home ownership isn't even in their mind because of the price right now that they're paying for rent.
A lot of these places are double grounds. And a lot of these places are owned by people who don't live here, and they don't care what people have to say about these communities because they just own it and they're just letting it sit.
And that's not fair. And that's why this effort that we're making across the city is a very important effort. And I think that's why a lot of the community members are standing behind us on this, because this is what they've been asking for a long time.
Seeing that the community we can take our land back and we can own it and make it look better than what it was looking like at first, it's just something great to see.
I got involved because I saw an opportunity to make a change that will actually benefit not just people individually, but all of us as a whole.
We need to be knowing that we are all struggling with the same problem across the board. We ought to be working on that problem to make a real change and to see it in a real way. South Baltimore is not the only place that's affected deeply by this issue of home ownership and making decisions over land that they own. And like, again, this is just a start. This is not where we're gonna finish. This is it's a great start that we already own these properties and that we're trying to rehab them and trying to make something great for our community. But again, this is not the end. So we want to make as many properties for as many people that want to stay here in this community that's been here and that deserve the right to be here.
And that's what the whole community land trust is about, is the community, the residents that are there, the residents that want to live, that want to be a part of the positive change that's going on and taking place. You hear so much negativity about Baltimore and what they can't do, but without giving the opportunity to own land, to be able to make decisions and come to the table, how can we tell what we're capable of?
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm sure everybody enjoyed both the vision statement, listening to it, and seeing the video as much as I know those of us who first saw it have. It really just cemented us even more closely to the aspirations and the brotherhood and sisterhood that we feel with the South Baltimore Community Land Trust. Maybe you saw a couple of celebrities, our own Sharon Hunt with her rake in hand there. And if you look at I guess she's at the bottom of our screen, Melanie Thomas, who's the executive director of SBCLT. And believe me, quite a talented leader. Melanie, would you like to introduce the rest of your team to us so that we can all be one family tonight?
Of course. Thank you. First, thank you to Ms. Sharon Hunt, our board member and fearless leader in this movement. Miss Peggy and Skip and the rest of the team just for inviting us to this session to be here. And we are a small but mighty team. So often we have to diversify, right? And make sure that we can be in multiple places at a time. So tonight we're only joined by a few members, but nonetheless still significant members of our team. So we have our youth leader, Carlos Sanchez, who was in that video as well. So you'll get to hear a little bit from him and why this is important and why he's been part of this. We also are joined by Sophie Stanko, our graduate intern, who has been helpful in just being a support as we're starting out, as we're doing this development and figuring out sustainability, things that we need to put in place to help us achieve future goals. And last but not least, our amazing accountant, Lisa Clayton, who keeps the books together and helps us manage and all the financial reports and everything. So again, thank you for the invitation. And we hope to answer and just give you all a little bit more insight as to who we are, what we've been doing. Again, the vision statement as well as the video is really just, it speaks to why we started and why we're continue in this movement. So thank you all again.
Thank you. Your vision statement was so rich. I mean, there's so much to unpack. But every single one of those characteristics of the world you want to build, I think resonated with each and every one of us. Another thing, however, really hit me hard in terms of the kind of unity that I think we have of vision. And that was when you early on talked about that a community needs to feel that it's in charge of the change that it's trying to make and empowered to do that. And that was one of the things that our St. Vincent's working team talked about a long time ago, that we really wanted to help, first of all, a community that was leading and had leadership, which you certainly demonstrate. The other thing was that since most of our parish is not composed of people of color, everybody felt that they definitely did not want to come in like a bunch of know-it-alls, saying, we know what you need and we've got the answer. That was the exact opposite of the kind of relationship we wanted to build. And so it really resonated with us when you said what you did, because everything that we're about is trying to assist and learn and join and help enable. And I was wondering if you wanted to just, and it's maybe a tough question to start off on, but once I finish this and once you answer, we're just going to open it up to what you want to say and what everyone wants to say. What do you think a group like ours needs to evidence or show in terms of really building a good, strong, harmonious relationship with your wonderful team?
A really big question. And I don't know that I have a simple answer per se, but you spoke to it again, is being open to understanding that each community has different needs, that there are other spaces that everyone, let me back up, everyone can play a part in this movement, right? We each have skills and expertise, and being able to own that and understand that we don't have to know it all. We do not have to have all the answers, but as long as we continue to show up encouraged and encouraging us on this journey, because it is not easy. It is not when you are, working to advance what we're trying to do. We're one of 5 community land trusts in Baltimore City. And as we're doing this work, each community has its own complexities, but with ours, I will say ours is a bit unique, where there's so many pressing issues that we are fighting against. And we're not talking about small things that can be fixed with legislation or, just they can't be fixed overnight. It didn't occur overnight, and it can't be fixed overnight. So when we're coming in, we're looking at how do we create a plan that will be sustainable for generations to come. We truly value the youth leadership and their voice, youth voice in all of this. And really, that's how this work really started. It started from youth leaders learning about a proposal for an incinerator, and the community, that's where the community came together. Had they had not found out about that proposal, we probably would have had another incinerator in our community. And that would have been 3 incinerators in this small community. So it's power, showing up, being present, taking action, stepping up where needed, and just offering that advice and expertise that we need most times, and filling in gaps, right? We do need a lot of legal assistance, right? Because we're tackling complex issues. So with that, and we know that if there are any lawyers on the call, no offense, but lawyers are not cheap, right? So we need to have we need to have some income to be able to to pay for our legal team, or we need to develop partnerships and relationships where we have a team of legal support that can help us navigate through these complex issues that we are facing. So we're facing environmental injustice that we are fighting against every single day. We are facing every community, I'm sure, but we have a lot of vacants that are privately owned, and every day they're being bought. Every day I get calls, people wanting to buy this home, and it's people are being bought out or being pushed out, right? So we talked about a community that has a history of displacement. Industry has pushed a lot of the community out, and a lot of people in the community are threatened and afraid that it may happen again. We had in December, we had the CSX coal explosion that was felt beyond our community. No one knew what was going on. It felt like someone picked the house up and just threw it down. And this was felt for miles and miles. But can you imagine the impact being so close to that facility? So we're in discussions with the Maryland Department of Environment and, other city and state agencies to help them undo the wrong that they have allowed to hurt and harm communities like ours. We are in the classrooms in Benjamin Franklin High School, where our youth leaders are working on a plan or designing what a zero waste, what a type of learning environment would look like, where you learn about how do you do environmental justice work? Like, what does that mean? A resource recovery facility where we take some of the mattresses and figure out how do we mattresses, glass. Our youth have a Baltimore broken glass business where they're using, and it represents pieces of our broken system that we're putting together to create a beautiful masterpiece. And each one is unique because they are not the same pieces and they're all broken differently, right? So all of what we do, and what I'll say to your group and other groups like yours that want to support, take time to listen, come in listening first, and then working from there to figure out, okay, where can I play a role? Where can I support? Where can we support as a team together? We've heard SBCLT say they, need this area, or they're struggling in this area, or they may not have this area established yet and they want to. How can we help them fulfill whatever it is that they would want to do? I hope that answered the question in my roundabout.
Sure did. And I'm going to now let our 2 teams becoming one now get a chance to talk together, ask questions, make comments. And I think you already see why we're so impressed by the passion of this dynamic leader.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Anyone?
If it's okay, I'll have Carlos begin. And
Thank
Carlos,
you.
if you're able, just turn your camera on just so they can see you before you start speaking. His connection goes out when he keeps his camera on.
Oh, okay.
Can you turn it on just so we can see you and then maybe turn it
Yeah,
off
that's
if you
what I
have
thought.
this?
Yep, he has it on right now. I don't know if you all can see him down there. Wave, Carlos, so
Hi.
they can see you.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Carlos.
Ms. Mel, could you, could someone repeat, what they wanted to talk about? My connection, like Ms. Mel mentioned, I think, is kind of like on and off for some reason. So like some stuff was cutting off for me.
No problem, Carlos. So just share a little bit about why you started, what you're interested in, and what brought you to this movement and why it means so much to you.
Oh, right. Okay. So, I want to start by saying thank you everybody for having me here tonight. But I joined For Your Voice, when I recently started leaving middle school. I attended middle school at Lakeland Elementary Middle School, and my brother actually was part of For Your Voice first, and he kind of introduced the work to me, and was explaining everything to me, and I want to.
Carlos, we lost you.
I think we may have lost him.
Yeah.
Still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that. Did I cut off for a second?
You did, yes.
When did I cut off?
You said your brother, and then it cut off.
Oh wow. Okay. So my brother, he started with For Your Voice before me, and he kind of introduced the work to me. He was telling me all this amazing stuff that For Your Voice was doing, and how they're doing it. And I was recently left middle school. I was like, I think 13 or 14, right, Ms. Mel? And I started slowly building a connection, like a deeper bond with For Your Voice, and tying it up to stuff that happened to me when I was a kid. I actually was born with asthma. So, I was the only one in my family who, had asthma. That was never a problem anywhere else in my family, which was kind of confusing at first. But like I mentioned, I did build that deeper connection with For Your Voice and the Land Trust. And, it really made me build like a deeper bond and, know that I'm not the only one who, goes through respiratory issues. And I, thank God, don't have that problem anymore. But that still doesn't mean, it can't happen again, or it can't happen to someone I know, or it could happen to a little kid in the future. That's what kind of going to what this work means to me. For me personally, I see this as a turning point, a way where, a lot of us suffered already. And, we can't keep on letting that happen to not only us, but we can't bring new life into this world that's already, corrupted, and, it's really disastrous and environmentally dangerous. We can't bring new people into this planet. We only have, so far what we know, we only have one Earth, right? That's the Earth that we stand, our air that we breathe, the water that we drink, the land we run around with family, siblings, kids, parents, and why not take care of it? Time is something we never get back, and the more we don't take care of our planet, the faster we lose time, and the less time we actually got. And I want to be able to prevent that from happening. I want to prevent our planet to become worse, or and actually help it become better and make it and have it ready for the new generations that come after us. Places where they can call home the same way we did, feel safe, and have it ready for them.
Absolutely. Thank you, Carlos. Can you speak a little bit to some of the outreach efforts that you've done in like the community groups and the school?
Can you repeat that, Ms. Mel?
Can you speak a little bit to the outreach efforts that you've done in the community? Like some of the
Yes.
things that are going on?
Yeah, of course. So we've done, when we first started, we actually started doing like before COVID, we were doing door knocking. You know, there were countless doors that we talked to, kind of spread the word on like the importance of environmental justice, of the land trust, you know, the way we could use it as a tool, how everybody, a way to benefit everybody, you know, of a new system that involves like zero waste, affordable housing, composting. And, you know, after COVID, we started we all had to go virtually like we are now. And, you know, that meant to, you know, sending emails, you know, talking to residents in another form that wasn't door knocking or in person. You know, we sent thousands of emails out to people, you know, bringing them in, bringing them to show, you know, no matter what gets thrown at us, you know, we still got to build that, keep that connection with everybody, you know, no one, not leaving nobody out of the bloom, building that, keeping that transparency and that participation from the community or in the community. You know, we got outreach is the number one important thing on community development, on fair community development.
Awesome. Thank you, Carlos. Appreciate you. In 2019, the youth, they launched the Zero Waste Challenge. And with that challenge, we helped to realize, one, we don't know what we need for our city to get better and to get on the right path. So we worked with other advocacy groups in the community, as well as community organizations, those that have long been neglected from being part of discussions and deciding how things can happen in communities. So we, through all of the partnerships, the outreach, and the communications, we created Baltimore's first ever fair development plan for zero waste, in which City Council unanimously adopted in 2020, just after the pandemic. And with that plan, or in that plan, we called for some short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals for the city to advance in different areas. And part of one of the areas that we talked about, why we call it the Fair Development Plan for Zero Waste, is because we're looking at equity as a whole when it comes to every decision point in our society. So looking at how equity informs or affects housing. How does equity affect our trash and access to different city services? How some neighborhoods are neglected from city services just because of where they live. Looking at just the way that we don't prioritize, or we don't really vet businesses and groups that handle our recycling, that truly have a heart for mission-based recycling and truly cleaning up and creating greener infrastructure in our community. So, and then the last part is, again, reclaiming land. What happens? Why a lot of times in communities they are disinvested or gentrified is because of lack of ownership. So looking at the CLT as a tool to reclaim land under this fair development plan for zero waste. And how do we then turn those, turn our systems that continue to regenerate and just in this cycle of toxicity into a linear system where it does not blame the people for not using or not being able to properly use and appreciate some of the functions that are available in society. For instance, recycling. People in public housing are not offered an option to recycle until recently, until we were able to, in that plan, we called for free recycling carts for all Baltimore City residents. right? In the past, you had to pay for that and go pick it up yourself, right? So if you don't have a vehicle, nobody's going to be concerned about going and get a recycling bin and carrying that on public transportation. So, those are just some of the things that we saw when we talked to other community residents and leaders, and other people were like, look, these things need to be in place in order for us to prosper and have a future. So next, I will turn it over to Sophie just to talk a little bit about her experience during this internship, and then like what made her interested in this movement, and then what her vision is for the organization going forward.
I'll turn my camera on so you can all see what I look like. So yeah, as Melanie said, I'm Sophie. I'm currently a graduate student at Towson University. And I came into my internship year. I'm in the clinical psychology graduate program, but I am no way interested in doing it in the future. And kind of through that program, I realized, how are we supposed to help people's well-being if we can't even get their basic needs and security of housing, solidified? And that's kind of what led me to the South Baltimore Community Land Trust. There's a professor at Towson who works with SBCLT, and I reached out to her and was able to connect with Melanie. And I came to the realization that the work that SBCLT is doing is more than just providing somebody with a home. It's providing them with security. It's providing them with the ability to have control over their own future and the control of the future of their own community, which they've not had, the ability to do so. I think I've learned a lot. I came in with no knowledge of what a community land trust is, what the model was, how it all worked. And, I dove in head first. I did a lot of reading and a lot of research, and I was like, these are big words and this is a big thing. But seeing how the community has reacted to the land trust and how they've all come together, and realizing that this is much needed in the community. And I really wanted to do as much as I can with my time with them and help them in any way possible. So I've done many different things that I've never done before. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it, because who else is doing it besides those within the community? And if I can help any way I can, that's what I decided to do. And I think kind of this last semester, I've been working a lot on trying to understand, how can SBCLT remain sustainable? So how can we continue with our plan for the future to buy more houses, to make permanently affordable housing within the South Baltimore communities possible? And I've had the chance to go to the auctions with Melanie and see people outside of the community buying up these vacant properties for a lot more money than we have. A lot more money than we have. And to see that is scary and daunting, to know what we're up against, but also knowing that there is no choice but to go up against it. So, my plan and my hope and what I can give SBCLT is kind of that plan of, all right, in 3 years, we hope to buy this many houses. How can we do that? How much money are we going to need? How many grants are we going to need to get? How much money will we get from the houses we are developing at the time? And to make sure, that the movement continues. The Community Land Trust movement is still in its infancy. So every success is huge. And in the opposite, every failure is also huge. So I'm doing my best, and hope to do my best while I have, in the time that I have left, to make sure that SBCLT is a success for the Community Land Trust model. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sophie. She has been amazing. And when she said she dove head first, we really did. We all dove together. This is something new for all of us. And I didn't say it earlier, but I'll preface it. I have zero background in development, right? But I just joined this movement as a community person, just realizing that if not us, then who? And if not when, then, what are we going to do? Like we have to start somewhere, and we can't, there's an an old ad is talking about if you wait until you're ready, then it'll never get done, right? So even every day I wake up and I don't know what I'm going to be faced with. There are things that pop up each day, and I'm like, God, what is going to happen? I don't know how it's going to happen, but I know that you'll make a way. And I will say that's how we've been, truly successful thus far in raising almost $3 million for our first development. So we are, we are definitely very close to a fully subsidized development project, and we have a lot to prove. Being the newest CLT in this game, we have a lot that we're up against, right? And a lot of times funders and different groups and people, they want to know, well, what is your track record? What have you all done? And then in these meetings, it's like, well, let us show you what we've done. Give us a chance, an opportunity, take a chance on us to show you what we can do when we have the proper resources available. And, we have a great development team that is highly experienced, and we rely on their expertise and their knowledge to really help us be successful. But it is just, we just have to continue to keep going and understand that one of the biggest challenges I think most and all nonprofits will say is, getting that financing, getting the capital to keep things going. And again, a lot of times, a lot of the funding is tied to prior success. So all of our work and our development is really, really important, where we have no choice but to be successful, right? And development, when I've talked to and met with other developers, they're like, development takes time. They were like, it takes a long time. If anybody's told you it happens quickly, they aren't doing the job right. But at the same time, when you're when you are pressed for time with the various grants that you received, there's a time frame and a window that you have to fulfill the progress by, right? And we've done a lot in the short time that we've been in business, and we still have a lot and a long way to go. And we are hoping to break ground by the end of summer with our first duplex. So we will make sure that you all get an invite to be able to witness that and see everything, see it come to fruition, right? The seed that we planted in that ground to finally germinate. So what I will do, well, first, maybe, are there any questions from what Carlos or Sophie has shared thus far? Or reactions?
So Melanie, I would first like to say I am extremely impressed at yourself, Carlos, Sophie, at the personal commitment to improving community. I think that's very important to us at St. Vincent. We've been meeting for over a year, talking, reading, educating ourselves. For me personally, I think it's time for our boots to be on the ground, so to speak. My first thought was to ask, is there a way for us to physically be involved in a project? Can we provide supplies? But then I think, well, truly building relationship between our two groups is, I think, very important. And so then I would ask, is there a meeting of SBCLT that we could come to interact a little bit with people, and pulling back a little bit on what I think, what do you think is the most important way that we can support you?
Great questions, and thank you for your feedback. We actually have it's not going to be, we don't want, again, with COVID, and even though it's going to be outdoors, a build day where we're going to be doing some reflections on Friday, this evening, Friday at 6 p.m. I will share the flyer with Peggy and you can forward that. But there also will be other opportunities for in-person activities if Friday is too soon. Yes, Miss Peggy, I'm sorry.
I was just going to tell you, you did forward it to me. I was going to ask you if you want me to pull it up before we get finished, the flyer.
Okay, I forwarded the home ownership flyer. I think, I don't know if I
Oh, not the
forwarded
other
the
one. Okay.
flyer for the activity. Yeah, so I know we do. So we are having these homeowner education sessions. Again, with the CLT being a new concept, we really want to do our due diligence to ensure that people are informed about what they are getting into, right? It's a good thing, but then when you don't understand what it is, then sometimes you can be a little bit standoffish or not really open to being part of a community, right? So as Sophie said, what we're talking about and what we're creating, we aren't just placing people in homes. Like, we're still there. We're not that realtor that gets you your house and then say, all right, bye, good luck with everything. We're there every step of the way. We are looking to, raise some funding to get a stewardship coordinator once we have these homes completed. And that coordinator will be primarily responsible for just meeting the needs of the community and the homeowners. So helping them with making sure, one, that they're able to pay all their bills and, paying the mortgage. And these are going to be brand new homes, so we don't anticipate them needing any type of repairs anytime soon, right? But oftentimes, I think for many of you, if you've had the experience and the pleasure of getting a home and then moving in and everything starts to break down and not knowing, where to turn unless you have like friends or family that have had or may know a good plumber or know, someone that can come and fix whatever is going wrong. So those are just some of the areas that that we are really looking and wanting to make sure that we have the proper support in place to help our homeowners once they come on so that they can be successful. Because that's what makes this model different. When the Habitat had published a report where they showed during the recession a few years ago that traditional homeowners experience more foreclosures than CLT homeowners. And that is because, again, that community part. So the community, the CLTs were able to know when the families were experiencing crisis. They were able to come and help bail out or help support and set up a plan so that they can be successful rather than successful and keep their home rather than having to be subject to displacement, right? So this model and everything that we're working towards is going to take, a lot of financial support, but we're here to continue to do it. One of the grants that we have received are community investment tax credits, and community investment tax credits are an opportunity where if you have deductions and can claim deductions, you're able to benefit from an additional tax credit for your donation to to an eligible authorized donor through the state of Maryland. So with that, minimum donations start at $500. And from that, you would receive a tax credit of $250. And so then you're able to not only add your $500 donation as part of your charitable contributions, but you can also add that $250 tax credit from the state to your tax bill for whatever year that you donate. So we do have, I believe we were awarded $25,000 in tax credits, and we've sold 16,000 so far. Had to try to think off the top of my head. So we still have tax credits available. And, you know, we are, if you talk to a friend after hearing this information and you feel compelled, or know a company even, so it's individuals as well as companies. I see your hand, Albert.
Yes, quick question. A lot of because of the tax thing that was passed a while back, with the incredible amount of whatever they call it, $24,000 or $14,000, whatever it is, we don't give that much to be able to go past that threshold. But does Maryland still, even if you don't itemize, give, we send $500 to your organization, a tax credit will be given? Do you have to itemize or not?
Let me get some more clarity on that. Actually, Lisa, let's see if our accountant may know a little bit more about that, but I don't want to give you false information. So let me double check to be sure and get back to you.
Right. I have a gut feeling that you may not need to do that in Maryland, but I wanted to bring that up to make sure that it was true that you don't have to itemize, but I don't know for sure.
All right, I will find out. Lisa, I don't know if you heard the question. He was asking about the community investment tax credits. Do you know if you don't itemize, if you're able to also still claim that credit? You're muted if you're talking.
You're muted.
Yes, the credit is for tax liability, for your total tax liability. So whatever your total tax liability, once you file, in whatever form you file, it would be a credit.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, Lisa, I'll pass it to you. If you want to just share a little bit, or anything that you feel led to share about just working with us and what, wherever you want to.
Well, just a little bit of background. I'm currently the Director of Finance at the Boys and Girls Clubs in Annapolis. I've been there for 2 years. And prior to that, I was the CFO at a Community Development Corporation for 17 years. And then prior to that, I was with Catholic Charities. And prior to that, I was with United Way. So I've been in the nonprofit industry for many, many years, and I love it. I like the commitment that's involved with the nonprofit's missions, and takes a lot of dedication to get the job done on limited funds, which brings me to SBCLT. And I think I've been working with Melanie and her staff for nearly 2 years now. And I must say that I have been totally impressed with the operations and the accomplishments that SBCLT under the leadership of Melanie has been able to accomplish. I really have been impressed. In addition to my day job, I do this on the side because I love accounting. I love keeping financial records straight. And I've had several. I incorporated my side business in 2009. So I've been doing it for about 13 years now. And I've seen some good and I've seen some bad. And I can just say that I'm totally impressed with the way that things are going under Melanie's and her staff's guidance. Impressive. And so that's me.
Thank you, Lisa. You're making me
You're
blush.
I'm just yeah, I mean, I have, like I said, I've seen good and I've seen bad, and you're one of the good ones. You're right up there.
Thank you.
Can I ask, I maybe with the map, I didn't quite catch it. How many properties do you own now in your community?
Yeah.
How many have you purchased?
So we have 10 that are under development. We just recently closed on our two more, and we are looking with the last award that we received from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. We need to get 3 more to complete our goal with those 2 awards. And I will back up. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund, that was something that we created. So your amazing leader, Sharon Hunt, has been part of that movement as well in like helping us, really push things forward and advance. I was at the time, I joined in 2018. There was a part-time opening at United Workers for a Canvas coordinator for this Affordable Housing Trust Fund. In 2016, if you are a Baltimore City resident, you may remember there was a ballot initiative or a question on the ballot to create the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And that fund, we realized when we were talking and meeting with the various groups and CLTs in the community, we need to have a source of funding for CLTs and all affordable housing and rental opportunities, anything that truly dealt with permanent affordability and helping the people that really need it, right? And getting those resources there. So the fund was created, was on the ballot in 2016. 2018, we had to do another ballot initiative to get the fund funded. And with that, the mayor's office, they called, and I'm not sure if it's like complete, public. I don't know how it got out there or how we learned about it, but they were saying they were literally taking bets that we wouldn't get enough signatures the second time to get the fund funded, right? And the mayor's office called, and they're like, hold on, stop. Stop. Let's come to the table and negotiate and have a conversation. So with that, we were able to come to a compromise. Many did not agree, but I feel like the compromise that we had to come to helped us create a fund that now today, finally, a year later, I won't get into the details though, but we were finally able to get Board of Estimates approval for our first award. So it's taken, and because it is a new fund, Baltimore City, and no offense to any city workers, is used to doing things in a certain and prolonged way, I would say, where they make things really impossible for especially smaller nonprofits. It's very tedious to where a lot of the grants that we've received thus far, the majority of them are reimbursable grants. So that's why it's so important. And with that, with reimbursable, you need to spend the money. So you need to have a cash flow in order to fulfill your grant awards and be able to get that money there. So like we have, all this deferred revenue from grants that we've received. Did I get it right, Lisa?
Yes.
Yay!
Basically, yeah.
Deferred revenue. Look, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm a little silly. I'm a little silly at times, but so with that, we have all this deferred revenue in our books that, we can't claim because it's money that you have to spend first and then get reimbursed. Yes, Miss Peggy.
No, that's Miss Jody.
Miss Jody, sorry. Hold on. Oh, you know what? Peggy was up in that corner. So where did she go? I don't know. It's changed on Miss Jody. Yes, ma'am.
Actually, I had a question for Miss Sophie.
Okay.
I was just wondering, I sort of wanted a little maybe emotional connection with the youth. And I wondered if you had a highlight kind of your experience this year, or anything that you would just like to say touched you.
Oh, let me think. It's been weird because of the pandemic and all of that. It hasn't been the full experience, I think, that I normally would have had because of that. But I think one of the highlights for me actually was, I don't remember what date it was, but there was we had like an open house of sorts, I'll say, with Fulton Bank and with a couple people, I think from the mayor's office. I don't remember exactly which department, but it was, I think, really one of the first times that I was able to see everybody in the organization like together, and to present to Fulton Bank and individuals from the mayor's office to give them kind of the opportunity to see firsthand the properties we have and what we're going to do with them, and for them to actually interact with community members and actually interact with people who are in the process of being approved to live in these houses, and to actually see the impact that SBCLT has had on those individuals in the community, and kind of in hopes that they'll see how important the work actually is. And I think for me, that was probably the most impactful day and experience that I've had so far, has kind of been being able to see how much the community has come together. I mean, I've only been with them since August, and they've been doing this since 2018. So I obviously have not been with them since the beginning, but seeing how the people that have been there since the beginning have worked with the community and have shown people, officials in Baltimore City and, big important, business CEOs, bank people that walk around, about how great it has been to work with SBCLT and to see the change that has happened in the community since they've been formed in 2018.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Melanie, I did want to mention to the group, and maybe if you can let me know when your tax credits run out, because our plan was to have a racial equity fund in our parish to facilitate donations from our parishioners and to hopefully get other parishes involved. But I don't want to implement that. If someone has a $500 donation, I would like it to go to your organization and not made out to St. Vincent's, that we would then turn it over to you so that they could get the tax credit. So I guess we would just need to know when the tax credit would be up. And I think the mindset of this group, people were thinking they would donate it to the St. Vincent's Racial Equity Fund, and then we would write the check. But I don't want to deprive anyone of that tax credit. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of that.
So this current tax credit expires next year. We have to sell them by next year. However, I do need to check and see if we were awarded funds or tax credits for this year too. So there may be another opportunity, but immediately we're good through next year for this current round of tax credits.
But you have a limited amount, right?
Yeah, we have a limited amount, yes.
Oh, that's what I just wanted to make sure that I didn't deprive anyone if they're planning on making a check out to St. Vincent's.
But you're also saying that the program, the tax credit program from the state is renewable, or they can confer it on an annual basis.
Yes.
Does it always have to be, I can't remember, does it always have to be the same amount of money, or can they increase the amount that you can have or lower?
So are you speaking of what the minimum donation is, or
No, no,
like
I mean the
someone
city.
donates?
I mean the state, not the city.
State, okay.
The state, if they gave you, what was it, 25,000, did you say?
Yeah.
For the,
So-
for the fiscal year that's we're in, if they renew it, will it renew at 25, or could it renew at 50, or could it renew above that?
It could potentially renew above that. We always request more. Like we requested 50 and received 25.
I understand.
And what we were told is that in receiving 25 for our first time, some groups were like, how did y'all get 25? Like we didn't, they got less. And it just goes to show like how.
No, it goes to show the excellence of you and Lisa and the donor writer whose name is, that's what you get when you're old, whose name is
Patricia.
Patricia.
Yeah.
So you do,
It's yours, it's the skill.
So they have committed to renew it. That's great.
Yeah, we're hoping that we do get a renewal. I think it sounded like we did, but they just didn't want to give it away yet. But I will check and let you all know about that renewal.
Thanks, Melanie.
Thank you.
So Melanie, if my husband and I are prepared to make a donation to whatever fund we need to make it to, and we do not need the tax credit.
Okay.
So how do we go about doing that? So that there may be some people who will need that tax credit in order to make a donation.
Yeah. So donations can still be made just normally through either our website, those that are available, or if people feel more comfortable mailing a check or picking it up. Sometimes the mail is a little bit iffy at times, but I encourage people, if they're, just let me know so that way I know to look out in the mail for any checks. But if people are comfortable, you can make donations directly on our website. We've created a Stripe account because a lot of people, initially we had a PayPal donation website up, and people were saying, well, we don't have PayPal, but we're not able to use the PayPal function. And then also it's good to note that, well, not good to note, but I like to share that with credit donations, we do have to pay fees on those donations via credit apps. But either way, anything that is donated will go to good use. And, it goes to, again, help us expand, because again, we are a small team. We have 3 full-time staff and 4 part-time youth, but we make things happen, and we're able to do that with the support of an amazing board and just other our intern and other people to make things possible. Yes, Ms. Sharon.
Well, one thing that I want to also stress that money is, of course, maybe the principal, and it always is and always will be. But as you noted earlier in your presentation, Melanie, we need expertise as well. Legal expertise, additional accounting. We need people who know people who are in who furnish supplies. We need to know people who have building materials. We just need.
Yeah.
And the need isn't going to stop. It will change and it will expand as we get started finally. I do want to say that the city of Baltimore has been a unique challenge in getting the grant money that was awarded in April of 2020 finally approved this day. It was approved today, by the way, everyone. April 20th of 20. What was proven? It was awarded in 21, so it was approved in April of 22. Today, April, whatever this is right now. So you can see that, and there were times when we were meandering through the wasteland of Baltimore city government, that if we, as we begin to build partnerships, alliances, and certainly with all of you and others in the parish, somebody's got to know someone in those buildings.
Yeah.
And when you get something and you submit it to the city, I'm sure you all know it can go into, this is like it goes into a basket and just grows dust. And if you know someone who works in the department or in the manager or the assistant, or it doesn't really matter, then you get it moved out of that box and along a way. So as we build, we're going to start building this year. And I have no idea, and I'm sure all of us don't in SBCLT, what we will encounter as we go forward. We're beginning on the zero waste side, continuing with that campaign. And that is an upward, it's like climbing Mount Everest without the equipment. Because as was mentioned, I think Melanie said, and I think this is a very nice way of saying it. I can say it another way, but I'll say it the nice way. Baltimore, the city of Baltimore and the government of the city of Baltimore is used to doing things in their process. And these processes have been in place. And I don't know if they ever really work, to be honest with you, but they're there. And we need help in trying to talk to the city, convince the city in so many areas that we really are in 2022. And they need to, you so frequently hear in meetings, I've been in many of them, and I'm sure Melanie and everyone else has been in more. Well, this is the way that we do things in Baltimore. And that phrase needs to be, anytime you hear that phrase, you've got a challenge, and you hear it very frequently. So I'm just trying to say in a meandering way that money certainly is extremely important, but as you work with us, be with us, and talk with us, you're going to hear where our challenges are, and we'll be happy to share. And all kinds of expertise is needed to resolve them. Because in the end, what we're trying to do is get people who have never had an opportunity to be in housing. On the other side, we're trying to get a polluted area that has endangered the health, or actually damaged the health, of untold numbers of people for decades and decades, and get them to reverse. Just like Melanie was saying, when they had that gas explosion in the tunnel. That's not the first explosion. And if we don't work real hard, there'll be another and another and another. So that's what we're trying to do. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
I'm going to share my screen and show you what the flyer that Melanie sent. So this is Friday. Melanie, did you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, so this is going to be our second annual Zero Waste Day. So last year we hosted a virtual Zero Waste Day online. It was our very first big virtual event. We had almost 200 people a part of that presentation. The mayor was the guest speaker or the keynote speaker. We had institutions, we had our university partners and friends. And what we've done, or what we launched, is the beginning. I talked about the zero waste plan that we created and launched in 2020, just before the pandemic, and got passed and all of that. So continuing to launch the movement and our recommitment to community, creating and undoing the injustice with environmental racism, where industry is just placed in
Curtis Bay.
Yep, in Curtis Bay and communities like ours. And where we're going to be is actually on one of the lots that will be part of the development right now. So it will be in Curtis Bay at our lot 1116 Inner Circle. You'll get to meet our other youth leaders that are in the picture, and these are the youth leaders that create the beautiful Baltimore broken glass that I told you all about. The egg-shaped one is called the Egg of Life. Oh, excuse me. And again, all of them are unique. They're all different colors, different color glass, and they have, I'm hearing an echo. They have, there we go. They have an Etsy page, and you can also access it on our website too to purchase these items. They are selling them. And with all of this, they're going to do a light show too not tomorrow, I'm rushing days, on Friday evening. So come on out, enjoy, meet the rest of the team, and, just really help us recommit and tell the city, we need a compost facility yesterday, not 10 years from now after a study, but now. And we've brought together labor, we've brought together institutions. So we have Johns Hopkins, Towson University, University of Maryland. We have partners all over that continue to step out and tell the city, look, we need to act now because we are in crisis. And if we don't make a move, then we don't know what's going to happen, for our future. Carlos said it, before, everything that we're doing is for our future. Everything that we're a part of is for the future. It's hard for me sometimes to hear or to believe that we've done so much, and, to hear the accolades and whatever, because sometimes when you're in it, it's like you don't get time to sit back and feel and see and reflect on, how much really has been accomplished. So I appreciate you all taking the time and acknowledging all of the hard work, and we appreciate and don't take that for granted. So thank you all again.
And there are quite a few of us that serve a dinner on Friday night to the hungry.
Okay.
And so some of those people will not be there, but if anybody in this group wants to go to the Friday night excursion, or please don't feel obligated to come Friday.
Don't feel obligated. It is soon, but
I meant don't feel obligated to come help Friday night serve dinner.
Oh, the dinner.
We'll manage. So if anybody wants,
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. I see a hand raised. Is it Rita? And I don't know the rest of the name cut out. Denny.
Denny, yeah.
Mhm.
I am kind of curious just how the whole build part works. Is it anything like Jimmy Carter's builds, where people kind of do a lot of the work themselves? Is it anything modeled after that, or is it completely different?
As far as Friday?
No, as far as people who are building their new home.
Oh, building their new home. So
you have professionals come do it, or how does that work?
Yes, we actually have professionals that will be building the homes, again, because these are complex and from the ground up, and there's no existing structure currently for the first 10 units. The other units that we purchased, they were destroyed by fire, so they're going to be completely gutted in the inside, but they still have a structure on the outside. But we have an amazing architectural team that understands CLTs. Like they advocate for us like it is nobody's business. Our lead architect, Jason Neal, he lives across the street from one of our delegates, Luke Clippinger. And, and through them and their, he talks to them, he's like, hey, look at what I'm going to be building in your district, and through that, we were able to be successful in getting a second bond bill 2 years back to back. So, again, just through the partnerships, through building relationships, getting to know people, being connected to people that know people, has really been how we've been successful. And that's what it is. Because a lot of times when you're new, it really does take someone starting out to say, you know what, I've met them and they aren't just talking about it, but they're actually doing it. I don't like share too much, like out in the community or wherever about everything that we do. And maybe sometimes I should share more, but I just believe that just quietly get stuff done and let the results speak for themselves, right? That's kind of my motto. But yes, professionals will be building.
But there's a particular reason why professionals are building totally on these first houses, because they're smart houses. And you might want to explain that.
Okay. Yes. So thank you, Ms. Sharon. And I was going to go into it, but then I said, I don't know how much time we have together and I don't want to bore anyone with some of the technicalities, but the type of house that we are building is a passive house. So for any coffee or tea drinkers that like thermal mugs, it's compared to a Yeti, which is supposed to be like the top end insulated mug that keeps things hot for like generations, right? Versus a regular teacup where, because of the, it's not insulated, there's no lid covering it, your drink is going to get cold fairly quickly. So with that, the passive house, it requires a certain type of certification that's needed for the contractor to be part of that. And then there are also certifications that, not certifications, but they're inspection points along the way. So the type of build, the builder has to be a passive certified builder, also has to be like Energy Star certified. So these types of homes are going to be highly energy efficient, where the utility bill will be 80% lower than the traditional utility bill. And that's important because when we talk about housing, we talk about access to quality housing. We don't want people to be house poor. We want people to be able to have a home, be able to pay their utility, and still have a little bit, money left over after they've paid that. Our goal is, again, through the land trust model, is to not have people paying more than 30% of their income for their housing. So it's looking and being intentional about how do we build, and also the type of housing that we develop. So all of our housing, these first homes will be passive house certified, but our future homes will still be energy efficient. So we're going to be following the energy model, because with different certifications, again, that increases cost as well. So we're starting out, we're going big, right? We're starting out big because it speaks to having pure air quality in your home. Again, we talked about having a home, being in a community where the air quality is really bad. This type of home is great for people that have asthma or respiratory illness, because it's going to be a constant flow of fresh air all the time flowing through the home. So minimal allergies and pathogens will be able to get in and make people sick, which is what we typically see with some other homes.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question. Yes. I don't want to butcher your name, so I'm just.
You're unmuted, Jerry. Yeah.
Jerry.
I'm Jerry. I just want to just thank you so much for this, and I'm hoping that when this committee gets the racial equity fund launched, that you come out and talk to us just like you did tonight and tell your story. Because I think besides, like Sharon said, monetary help, that the more people that hear all of you speak and your authenticity and your fervor, that they're going to know people that know people. And so, and I'm so excited about this. I feel personally touched by it. I understand this whole respiratory story. I grew up in Brooklyn and Curtis Bay, and so did my husband. And I student taught at Ben Franklin. So my heart, you know, I know where you're coming from, and my heart is with you. And I think that our people at St. Vincent's, if they get to hear you, their hearts can be with you too, because we are really neighbors. We're almost in the hood with you.
Yes, 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 absolutely. We
Thank
appreciate
you
that.
for
Thank you.
being so clear with us tonight.
Thank you all.
And so, you know, we've already invited them to the town hall, which will be the last Sunday in June, I believe. So they're already on the agenda.
Awesome. Thank you again for your remarks. Is it Mr. Dennis?
Yes, Ms. Thomas, I was wondering, you mentioned that you need help, legal help. I was thinking of a friend who is a lawyer who might be able to help, but I think he's mainly a criminal lawyer. But I don't know for sure. So I was wondering, what type of, was it contract legal stuff that you really need?
Yeah, some of it is contract legal help, and then also looking at, because of the environmental justice work that we're doing, so like environmental law and looking at those types of things. But contract legal help is definitely needed, because we don't want to have to be paying our lawyers, you know, X amount each time we have to review a grant contract.
Right.
If that is something that, you know, a person can, you know, a firm can, you know, say, okay, we're committing this person X amount of hours to support the board in any contract work or something like that, pro bono, then that would be something that's needed. Another big thing that we're trying to work with Sophie on, again, is that strategic business plan. So someone that has any experience with a strategic plan that can help us really get one that does have experience in the housing and development sector or an arena would definitely be helpful. You know, more expertise in housing and environmental is needed.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question.
Did you you want to take it?
Sure. Very little needs to be said. I think you've seen, you've heard what a magnificent team this is. And without trying to overpromise anything, Melanie, I am so proud of our church community because it is so very diverse. And that includes a diverse pool of talents and skills. And I think, as Jerry said, the more we get a chance to share your story, the more there will be people who will offer their talents. Many of them retired, but retired from law and different fields of law. So I really think this is a very good fit. And I can't thank you enough for all that you've shared with us tonight. And I think we're excited, aren't we?
Thank you. Thank you all so much. We appreciate that. And I will add one other area that we're looking for: policy experts. So people in, you know, environmental and housing policy. There are still some policies in place that are really keeping us back and making it more difficult for us to be successful as a CLT in this affordable model.
Yeah, on that, my feeling also is just based on past experience, those two areas often are tied up with politics as well.
Mhm.
And this is where getting to know people, and whoever brought it up, I think it was a very good idea that we need to focus on city, but we also need to include the state, because
Yeah.
sometimes one lever pushes the other.
Yeah.
And so you've got I think, a great person in Senator Ferguson. Who's, now chair in the Senate. The Speaker of the House is an extremely dedicated person. She hates to be called a politician. She says, I'm a public servant, and there's a big difference. So there are people like that we need to have meet you.
Mhm. Awesome. We welcome them.
Yeah, I want to thank your whole team, Melanie, all of you. You did a wonderful job. We so appreciate you sharing your information with us and your knowledge. And I can't wait for the town hall meeting, which hopefully will happen that last Sunday in June, and I'll be in touch to let you know about that. But we're very excited about that. And you're welcome to stay on. We just have a couple of things just to mention. And one is that we want to, Skip, the parish council last night. Did you want
Sure.
to share the results?
Yeah, and I'm very happy to report that Peggy and I attended parish council meeting last night, and unanimously, the parish council approved sending our letter to the Archbishop with really no basic changes. It was a little dispute over the word affect and effect. That was about it. But Marianne, you must have been the one that said effect. But I was really buoyed up by the support that came from parish council. And they also really opened the door for us to the town hall meeting as well.
Yeah. And we'll be able to send the letter under the whole parish and not just the working group. So
Yes.
that's what we really wanted. So anyway, great. So the other thing, we really want to thank Jack Schmidt for all his work on the legislative area. And he can either give us a summary tonight, although I see it's 8:31. We can send out his report. Jack, did you have any feeling about that? If you wanted to cover it, or you want to wait?
You're muted, Jack.
Sorry about that.
No
After
problem.
all that nice talk, I don't want to get into something boring like legislation. So I think I'll send it out. It's a little bit long, so I'll just send it out to people.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jack. We can't thank you enough. And thank you all who took action to try to get some of this legislation passed, because we really did have some successes. So next month, we will meet on May 18th, if you want to mark your calendars, and we're going to talk about white fragility before our June town meeting. And we'll just close with a prayer here. So if you'd bow your heads for a moment. So dear God, we thank you for the gift of Melanie and her team, and we pray for them, their work, and our work together. And we thank you for their success thus far. We ask that you guide us all in your wisdom so that we not only support them, but become part of their team. Just as you sent Jesus to save us, please send the Spirit to mold us, to move hearts and minds to this critical work so that we can expand our group and get all the help that's needed. And we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Thank you so much. Miss Melanie, Miss Sophie, Mr. Carlos, Miss Lisa. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, have a good night, everyone.
Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
Good
And
night.
Listening and inviting.
Sophie, she didn't mean to skip you.
I did say her.
Oh, I didn't hear you say Sophie.
Thanks.
All right.
Good night,
Thank you
Sophie.
all so much.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Good night.
Night.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Sharon, thanks. By the way, I wanted to tell you, Sharon, oops, she's gone.
Oh, yeah, I should thank
I
Sharon.
I was going to tell her she missed the spot while she was raking. I'll tell her later.
So Peggy, real
Yes.
quick, do we
Yeah.
know when this equity fund is going to be established at St. Vincent?
So and I know you said you don't care about the tax credit, but
don't.
I was kind of waiting to say that. We did clear that. Well, we talked to the parish council about it. I have cleared it with Father and Colleen, that we can have a line item. So it will just be a line item.
And that'll be
You take it
ongoing.
out to St. Vincent de Paul Parish, and then the
Okay.
memo line, you just put the racial equity fund. Colleen wanted to know exactly, and we didn't bring this up tonight because of the time, but Colleen wanted to know what we want to call our group going forward. We've kind of been calling ourselves We Have a Dream. And then we've kind of been talking because we didn't want to call the fund reparations. So we kind of called that racial equity. And then we were wondering, should we call ourselves Racial Equity Group just because that might mean more to people than
Maybe
We Have a
evolve
Dream?
to that.
If we're spreading out to other parishes, or so anyway, we were going to bring that up with the group tonight, but just considering the time, I didn't think we should. So,
But
The
that
other
sounds like
thing-
a good idea.
Yeah, the other thing, Sue, is actually Colleen was pretty open to our being somewhat flexible. In the letter, she suggested we talk about we are creating a racial equity fund. And actually it helps on the other end because we can begin tailoring it or steering it as the Spirit takes us, so that it doesn't have to be just one way and it channels.
Yeah.
And we've already taken a few of the donations and turned them over to the South Baltimore Land Trust, so.
yeah, I wanted to thank the donors, but because I mentioned that last meeting when we were at church after the reconciliation, some people did step up and we sent 18,000 to the Community Land Trust, which they cover. She had given me an itemized list of what they needed it for, the health and the website, there were quite a few things. And so,
Right?
pardon me?
I mean, you had mentioned like $12,000 that they needed for staff.
It was, there were about 3 things, and we were able to send a little more than that and take care of those immediate needs. So that was really good.
See, I didn't even understand that we were already making a contribution to that somehow.
Well, that's why I said after the reconciliation, I just said they have some immediate needs. So if anyone is moved to make a donation, let me know, or I forget how we phrased it, but we did have a few people. So yeah, initially, and tell me what you think, you all. Initially, I was thinking, oh, we should track the amount of money. And then I got to thinking, does it really matter how much comes from St. Vincent's? Like, in other words, if you wanted to just send your check tomorrow to them at their location, does it really matter that we haven't captured that? I
think
don't
we
know.
can talk about that at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just mentioning it because Sue, I know, is anxious to send something. So I didn't know if that was important.
And I don't need, personally, I don't need it to be recognized by.
No, I don't mean recognize. I just mean, are we to try to track the results, I guess, of We Have a Dream? Do we think that's important?
Well,
or
I kind of think it is in light of when we had the discussion last night, not tracking by person, but how much money we've been able to generate, because actually the town council last night came up with the idea that we should really approach the Bishop Lewandowski in our meeting with him, asking him to put it in as part of the annual appeal. So I think what would help that would be
to show how much we personally are contributing to. Okay.
Yeah, it's a testimony we'd be making, to our commitment, and kind of challenging them then to see what we're doing as a small parish.
Exactly.
So then that causes the problem, I don't know if people want to send the money through me and I can make sure it gets to South Baltimore community. But again, I don't want people to think I'm trying to check how much money they're giving. So that's why I was kind of struggling with that. I'm not exactly sure what the best way to do
That's a
that.
conversation for the group next time, I think.
Yeah. So Sue, you and I can
Well-
talk if you don't want to wait till the meeting.
Well, I won't wait, but I see this as ongoing contribution. I
Right,
don't,
right, right. Still,
whether I send it to you and you send it to them, or I send it to them, the initial, but I really feel strongly that I want to make a donation now. So I just want South Baltimore community to understand that there are many people who are committed. And I think the sooner we can show that, the better.
And they were very appreciative of the money that we did send them. So that was good.
Okay.
So, yeah, I thought they did a great job tonight. So I'm excited for our town hall.
Impressive.
And Anne, I guess you're back in Florida.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Good seeing you up here, though.
I know. But you'll be doing it live stream though, right? When you have the town
Yeah,
hall?
we'll live stream. Oh, I'm hoping so. I haven't really cleared that part with Colleen yet, but I hope so.
Just dawned on me, did you stop the recording?
Thank you. I don't know what I'd do without my sister.